Okay. Before I call the meeting to order, I just want to make a friendly reminder, anybody that has comments or questions to come up to the middle table, please. I'll call the meeting to order. See, will you take roll call, please?
Commissioner Corbin?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
I'm here.
Commissioner Waldner?
Here.
Commissioner Phil?
Here.
Mayor Denner?
Here. We have the agenda in front of us.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
I got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Excuse me. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Seeing nothing under appearances and acknowledgement, does anybody want anything taken off the consent calendar?
Just a quick question, if I may, Mayor. The building permit was like blank. Is that no?
There was no.
There was none.
Correct.
Wow.
Post-Christmas lull.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar. Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Seeing nothing under unfinished business, we'll move down into the new business. Number 1, authorize mayor to sign pipeline license number 19-64587 BNSF Railroad Company, Division Avenue Water Main Street Surface Line Segment 0224 Mile Post 332.62. Do I have a motion and a second?
I'll move that first, and then number 1 under new business.
Second.
Chad, did you want
Yes.
to say anything on this,
Yes,
please?
I can. Thank you, Yar. Included in the agenda packet is said 16-page agreement with an attached Exhibit A. This is a crossing under the railroad pipeline license that we are required to obtain before we can proceed with installing infrastructure underneath the railroad. This will have to be a jack and bore is what it's referred to. So let me back up a bit. This is for the Division Avenue Water Main project. The existing line has had several breaks on it. In coordination with the Public Works Department and specifically the Water Department, we've come up with a project, and it was budgeted for also during the budget discussions. And we have sent in the application for the license in late December, and then we had received this back. A couple items. This is really, I don't believe we have much negotiating power at all, really, with these. Basing that off some of the previous conversations I've had with our city attorney and such. These are sort of their standard agreements. However, a couple points of note. In item number 6, we have, because of the state laws that have been passed by our legislature, if you have a crossing within the right-of-way, there's a typical $750 fee that you have to pay. That will not be required to be paid because this line's in the right-of-way of Division Avenue. So that's a good thing. The legislature passed that, I guess, probably maybe 5 years ago or so.
Yep.
That's another one. Then the other point I would bring to your attention to would be under section 15.4. There's a checkbox there. There's a blanket policy for railroad protective liability insurance, and it's been our custom to obtain coverage under that blanket policy for ourselves and the contractor by making the selection there, as you could see, as electing to participate in the blanket policy. That does cost $1,266, and so that has also been something we've done customarily with our recent applications to cross across the railroad's right of way. With that, otherwise, it's a pretty straightforward application, albeit, rather in depth. And again, it's their standard agreement. I don't know that we have much leverage to negotiate anything on this.
Is there much to negotiate? Is there much you would?
Oh.
Well,
I mean,
These are the most horrible agreement that you can get, but it's the best one we can get.
okay.
It's the only one we can get with the railroad.
Understand that.
Yeah.
Concerns me.
yeah.
What's the total cost of the agreement then?
1,266 would be to get the blanket coverage for ourselves and our contractor when this goes to construction. Anticipated to be bid definitely by the end of March, before the end of March. Perhaps we'll have something for you to authorize advertising next week, I'm hoping. So
Is this a 26-inch diameter?
this is the, it's a 24-inch casing pipe.
Mhm.
That's the steel pipe that will be in contact with the soil, if you will. And then the carrier pipe, which is actually the water main, is an 8-inch. So that 8-inch there'll be spacers placed around the 8-inch, attached to and around the 8-inch line that will center it within the casing pipe.
The reason I asked, when I was reading through this is on 12.2, they said 26 inches or 10 inches, 10 inches down and 26 inches in diameter.
Okay.
The bore is greater, but 24 inches is 24 inches, so, I don't
Yeah.
think that would be problematic. So they're just curious more than anything.
Again, I think that's part of their standard language, and if we would have a larger casing pipe, like 26 inches as it's listed here, and the depth would be less than 10 feet, there would be additional
10 inches.
soil investigations required. And so we are less than 10 feet in depth, but we're also less than the 26 inches, so we would not have to go through the soil
Okay.
investigations for this.
Right. I would assume if there were soil problems that they would want to know that,
Right.
just for their own liability and protection too.
Yes.
So,
That's a 12-inch that's running up through Johnson's old gravel pit and the sales barn and up through Bachman Park, isn't it, to the, kind of feeds the water tower?
I want to say, I think it's a 12-inch. You probably don't know off the top of your head, but I believe that's it.
I believe the one that runs back there is 12-inch.
This one used to be the line
Yeah,
that serviced that, the eastern part of town,
Yeah.
coming out of the water plant before the tower was built in the 80s. And at that time, as you're stating now, the larger line all the way to the tower was put up as a 12-inch. So, yeah. This one doesn't need to be as large as the existing one. We've done some preliminary modeling to confirm that the size that we are specifying here is appropriate.
Where are you gonna stop with this new 8-inch line?
We're going to tie
First
in
Street or?
First Street. That's where we extended it down from back in '07. So
Okay.
it'll be all new line along through there.
And
Thank you.
The 12-inch line is the one on the east. That's
Correct.
12-inch.
Further east, yes.
I've confirmed that. So
Thank you.
Can I ask a point of clarification? Is this
Pat.
on the, Pat Mullen, live right beside Division Avenue. Now, is this, point of clarification, is this from Center Street south?
Correct, but however, this,
I know it's gonna probably hit a
Yeah.
little bit north.
correct, we'll tie in at First Street North, so the first street north of Center Street, and then it'll extend from that point south across the railroad and then tying in at 4th Street. Yes.
4th Street down below.
Yep.
Where, that's basically where the water treatment plant's at, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
I was just curious.
Yep.
It sounded that way, but I was just asking the point. of
Yeah.
clarification.
Yep.
And there should be very minimum interruption of service, right? get fed off that line.
Yes, I mean, we have standard language as to how long people can be out of service. And if it extends too long, we require that there'll be a temporary water system installed. And in this project, probably more so, the issue is more so on the south side of the tracks. We will have to put up a more extensive temporary water system than we usually do on that part of the project. But all
Is that due to the boring?
due to a number of things, one of them being the boring, but probably most significantly is just the lack of sufficient right-of-way that we currently have obtained there. It's actually half of what our typical minimum is. So we only have 33 feet through there. Typically, our right-of-ways are 66. Very few of them are 60, but most of them are 66 and 80 and a couple hundreds. So.
And the constituency there, have they been approached on that area?
Yes, we've had several discussions with them, and we had originally anticipated perhaps requesting easements and trying to limit the temporary water, among other things. And we went to Plan B to placing it more so in the right of way we already have obtained, and not going beyond the right of way. So yes.
Now, the pipe will be on the east or west side of the street?
It'll be on the east side.
East side.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I live in Oakwood Condo East, okay? And, you know, our access to our garage to that is behind our units.
Right.
So I can tell what to say. And I'm flexible, but that's it, everybody is.
Yeah. In that area, we have more right-of-way with. It's south of the tracks. Well, south of the tracks and some area north of the tracks. There's limited residences north of the tracks, with the exception of the condo. But there will be a much more significant interruption to traffic flow south of the tracks.
I know when Reineke, when the house that was constructed down by the railroad tracks, I know he ran into a lot of, let's say, glitches.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's a nice word.
Yeah. There's always glitches in construction.
And
Yes.
I know the glitches he had, and I didn't, he used the term, and I used the term glitches, but it, you know, but that was all new line basically, wasn't it? Or that was just a tie-in for that house down there, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was actually a long service line for the sanitary sewer.
Is that
The
it?
water main, that gentleman was able to go directly out into the street.
Okay, but that was sanitary.
Yeah, there's not a sanitary or a main that extends south from Center Street. So that created some challenges for him.
Well, yeah, then he was gonna dig it, and then Reineke dug it.
Yeah.
You had a root system that is just really bad from all the trees and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't adequate.
Yeah. It's always a bigger job than one might think.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So several years ago, the railroad started using a third party to deal with their easements. The third party started charging high fees. The high fees were affecting rural water systems, so they went to Pierre with some legislation to get rid of these fees. And now tonight, the city of Madison's benefiting from that.
I like it.
So don't use third parties.
Not in that regard.
No.
Any further comment, discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Number 2, do I have a motion for authorize the mayor to sign change order number 4, Midland Construction, Inc., AIP 3-46-0029-016-2018 Madison Municipal Airport Parallel Taxi Project.
So moved.
Second.
Chad, this one's yours too.
Yes, sir, thank you. I can talk a little bit. This is the final change order for this project. There's just a small amount of work remaining next year for the project. This is a change for $3,462.38 in addition, and this primarily rectifies some of the weather and rain delays that were encountered, and additional quantities necessary for that, and other final reconciliation of final quantities. As you are all probably aware, most contracts that we deal with, or a significant portion of them, are all based upon our unit quantity projects. So basically, contract bids a price, and then we estimate a quantity, and then keep track of those quantities, and then pay for what was actually installed near at the end of the project. And that's what this is. It's a reconciliation of final quantities for the project. You can also see on page 1 of the document that this project ended up very close to the original contract amount. It was under I don't have the exact number, but under $5,000 above the original contract amount. This was a $3 million project, so that's actually pretty good, in my opinion. I would recommend approval.
Further comment, discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Number 3, do I have a motion to set bid date of March 5th for bid number 890? Switch gears, transformers, cables, and street lighting poles.
I'll make a motion to set bid date of March 5th at 2 p.m. for bid number 890, pad mount switchgear, transformers, cable, and streetlight poles.
Second.
Brad, did you want to talk about this one?
Yes, the main reason for this, there's multiple reasons. One of them is the upgrade project. Another one is we're gone through and inventoried all of our transformers in the system. Did this a couple years ago, and we've been slowly picking away at adding transformers to be in reserve in case one of them went down, and that's what some of this does too. And then also we have quite a bit of street lighting we're going to have to perform in 2 different projects this coming year, one of them being the Cyber Estates Edition, and the other one in preparation for the first phase of the RD project. So those things are all contained in this bid.
Is there any further comment, discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Public comment. Before we go into public comment, there's a list of guidelines to follow for the public comment out by the sign-up sheet. I want to make sure everyone understands that public comment means public comment. We do appreciate you bringing your concerns to the commissioners, but we need to follow those guidelines very closely. You'll be limited to 3 minutes, and there will be no discussion or action taken based on your comments from the commission at this time, but your comments may be a base for further agenda item and action. Again, we appreciate you coming to the meeting and expressing your comments. We do have one, Jim Casanova, if you want to come up to the
I'm Jim Casio. I just got 3 questions. How come we didn't have a snow alert in the morning that said 3 p.m.?
On Sunday?
Yeah. It would have prevented a lot of cars because it did a lot better job. 3 o'clock, the sun was shining, melting the streets off. The other question is, isn't there a little priority to cleaning around the churches, especially the Catholic Church and the Trinity Lutheran had a Boy Scout packet feed down there? I think one family had to crawl over the center windrow trying to get into the church. They couldn't even get across. In the Catholic Church, there was 4 abandoned cars and one-way traffic on the north side of that deal. And somebody followed it at 12 p.m. Is there any priority of going around these churches for 1 square block? I think it's kind of a deal on Sunday should be considered. And the third thing, what is the speed on these one-ways? Wow. Sunday, everybody on 9th Street had their sidewalk cleared, and they dumped by at about 30 miles an hour. Threw a bunch of snow right back in the sidewalk because they were cleared. Is there any speed limit to these plows? The street is 20. Any answers to them?
But you have churches,
What?
churches,
The church.
and then speed of plows. Is that
Yeah.
everything?
And the time of,
I don't think they have to go by 30, 35 miles an hour. The
Oh,
last
time of
snowfall, one way
alert.
came bang, bang, trying to
Of
get a
alert.
shaker, he hit the curb and just about was going the other way. There's no reason to throw that snow back on your sidewalk. I had just cleaned them sidewalks, and they were city sidewalks besides, by the bridge. It isn't the first time this happened.
I have a question. What do you mean they were city sidewalks?
Like that.
Were they on your property? Were they sidewalks in front of your house you're speaking of when you say they're city
In front
sidewalks?
of my house, in front of Jim Shavers, and across the street by the bridge,
I think he's talking about the
south
bridge.
side. They don't have to go that fast to see how far they can throw that snow. They weren't doing nothing anyhow. That's the 3rd time they went by them. Their speed to it in one way? I think they go way too fast for the job they do. Nobody wants to talk today.
Jim, it's.
I sure would be glad to talk. I think, Gary, do you want to,
Yes, you may.
you want to say something about the churches, the reason we do that?
We went in that we were running around the churches before 9, so if we missed something, that's just.
You bet the
There was a
gas,
car.
I'm guarantee you that.
Well, when we got there, the cars were parked on the east side, but I think we plowed the north side.
No?
I guess I don't
12
know that.
o'clock, 'cause I was there.
I don't know that. I sent one
You
of the guys
just
over there. and
we kind of
we
came to
were on.
argue. It seems like, Jim. Seems like you just came to argue.
Well, I think we ought to have a little priority to the churches on Sunday.
Well, we typically
do.
do.
When Gary calls me, that's when, he usually calls me when he's gonna go out and says, we're gonna go out and clear out for the churches if you
Yeah,
missed
one-way
one.
traffic
I'm just
on
saying,
the
if
north
you
side.
missed one, okay, we missed one, okay? But he makes it a priority to try to get, the, emergency routes and around the churches on Sunday mornings right away.
I'm
because
not
we know
just
that's where the
saying
traffic
Catholics.
is. Oh, I understand. You're absolved on that. But I'm just saying we make it a priority to get it. I mean, if we missed one, I couldn't get there.
But don't you think if you call a snow alert at 6 a.m. instead of 3 p.m., a lot of people would have got their vehicles out of the way?
I didn't call a snow alert for the town, I called it downtown.
I know you
Went in
did.
for the next day, and that's what we called.
We didn't have enough snow?
I didn't think so. You can't call, you can call one at 6, it doesn't do any good because people aren't up yet. And then
Well, thanks
if you
anyhow.
wanna wait and plow it, then they got it all packed down, so. That's why we just went ahead and started plowing. We came in at 4 and did the snow routes.
But they go too fast in that one way here, you know it. Somebody's gonna get hurt someday.
I don't think they were going 35, you can't cross.
Okay, announcements. Only announcement I have is for the commissioners here, just to let you know that True Shrimp is wanting to visit with both the county and the city commissioners. They are setting up a day, March 3rd. Yeah, March 3rd, and they'll be putting out a schedule. You can sign up with Eric. That way we won't have a quorum. I think they're going to do a half an hour interval, so throughout the day. So just wanted to let you guys know that. Any other announcements? Anybody else? Not hearing any. Do I get a motion to go into exec session?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.